up to. I want to make sure that
Please.
the error occurred. Which error? Let's. I mean, error on YouTube. Maybe because it's scheduled.
We're live on LinkedIn, though, right?
Oh no, we're live on LinkedIn. We're live on Facebook. We are live. We're going to give this a couple minutes just to load up. I know we're a couple minutes early here. We're still in the morning time, wherever the hell Nico lives. I think it's somewhere in Arizona.
Yeah, right. Come on. We've only known each other like a year and a half. You gotta know.
Yeah, no, we're good, man. No, we're live on the old machine here. Give me a second. We're gonna.
No, take your time.
What I like to do. What people don't know is when you set up your LinkedIn live post, a good trick is to go into the actual live posting once it's up and tag your guest, because it doesn't tag them in their full name. You can see I'm updating that now while we have. Bear with me. Yeah, everyone's seeing a little behind the scenes here.
Behind the scenes, the real deal.
This will make my post fly better. Here we go. Good morning. Good morning, LinkedIn. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Nico De Bruyn. How are you doing,
good morning,
my friend? What's happening, dude?
Dude, every single day without Corona is a good day for me. So still negative over here. So I'm good. I'm rock and rolling.
Well, that's what I like to hear. I'm just making sure we're all good over here.
No, you're good. Take your time. I need to log into the live anyway, so you are good.
We got this thing flying here.
Oh, I like the glasses on you.
What's that?
I like the glasses.
Thanks, man. I have that when I load up the show, and sometimes I take it off depending how I'm feeling, if I need to like see stuff. Well, good morning, everybody. We have hit the noontime hour here in New York. It is now officially the noontime lunch hour here in New York. Nico, I think it's what, you're 2 hours back from us?
It's 9 o'clock, so it's 3 hours.
Rise and shine. Good morning. It is. I keep doing this on every show, but it is the 27th day of the month of April. And it's just been a journey. I hope that everyone had a great weekend. We are back on the podcast live. I have a great lineup today. I got Nico for the first half, and I got Kylie Francis coming on at 12:30 to join us. Do you know Kylie?
Seems familiar. I'm terrible with last names. First names and faces, call it a day, but last names, no. Let me look her up real quick.
Yeah, definitely. She's an up and comer, a fast up and comer on this platform, and it's really interesting to see people shine and how they're doing it. And then something that you and I always talk about is authenticity, right? It's like really coming and being yourself right now, and we're seeing it in a few different ways. We're seeing people and companies really show their true colors and stepping up, but during this time. So let me backtrack for a minute. And I really want to ask Nico, I mean, you and I have been connected for a couple of years now, almost a couple of years. You've been a friend, you've been an ally, you've been a resource, you've been a sounding board, all that kind of good stuff. I love watching your growth. I love watching you, really come into your own, trying, testing, experimenting, doing a million different things.
That's all you can do.
But most importantly, you're leading it with authenticity, and you're real. You're a real dude. You keep it real. And that's something I appreciate you. You don't pretend to be anything that you're not. You always try to add value, and you get it. You're not trying to hack. You're not trying, you're just really trying to do things in an authentic way. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. So first question I'll ask, man, is, how you go? How you doing? How are you doing, my friend?
Dude, in the spirit of keeping it real, last week was interesting because I think much like the average person, like, you get this high of, okay, cool, this is fine, like working from home, that's cool, don't have to commute as much. For me, like I commute an hour and a half, 2 hours every day, so that freed up a ton of time. So first couple of weeks was good, and last week it just hit me, the isolation of just staying in like more the central, like a very central spot. Definitely got to me. Like I think as an extrovert, I crave the human. So last week I did a ton of calls because I just needed to like get something. But so frankly, like last week was hard. Last week was like definitely not on my game. Wasn't as much online as I wanted to be. And that was good. It was detached quite a bit. I'm back, ready to rock and roll. I think the biggest thing for me is when I get in those positions, all you got to do is really like lay out why you do the things that you do. Because as well as I do, it's easy not to create content or market or, work on your business. So just have to get those priorities back in check.
Yeah, man. And so why don't you just do a quick intro for my audience here. For folks that don't know you, tell us who you are and what you do, brother.
I'm the one guy with many hats. So Nico De Bruyn, I am the author of a book called World Marketers. I run a company called Boundless Media. I help start brands. And my biggest thing is we like to focus on all these shiny things in marketing rather than focusing on the fundamentals. So I teach people and I talk about building brands, focusing on those foundations rather than those shiny things. The shiny things will always come, but
Yep.
if you don't know the basics of what's your voice, what's your niche, what are you actually trying to communicate and where you're trying to communicate it, it doesn't really matter what, captions you add to your videos or how great your articles are or anything. Because if you don't get the foundations right,
Yeah,
can't
man.
win.
You kind of hit the nail on the head too. I think and we could just jump in, right?
Yeah,
I'm
do it.
into my stand-up comedian microphone hold. I
Oh,
got
I love it. I'll bring mine out too, just for you.
different mic positions here.
There you go.
You hit the nail on the head too. I think that everyone, they look on social media, especially LinkedIn, and all these quote unquote gurus are like, you got to put out tons of content. You must be putting out, so many things a day. And I do believe that there is something about, persistence and activity versus being perfect for sure. But I think so many people are chasing those shiny objects, which are the metrics,
Yep.
instead of focusing on the content. And I think that's where people are failing. They're trying to be something that they're not. They're trying to say things for the sake of being controversial, right? For the clickbait, for the eyeballs. What are some observations that you're seeing these days?
So I've been spending a lot of time on TikTok, right? And the reason I want to bring this up right now is I'm seeing people who are pandering for the likes. And I've seen that in the beginning stages of LinkedIn. It's gotten better as the platform's really matured and people have started getting into their flow. But man, I see people pandering for likes all the time. And the problem with that is they sacrifice their long-term brand, right? So whether it's promoting something you can tell they don't love, or they're talking about things that just are in it for the wrong reasons. Like it's not like we as humans have gotten so good at sniffing out.
Yeah, we smell out the bullshit, man. Right?
It's so easy. So unfortunately, I see a lot, especially like people my age and younger. It's very easy to say, it's easy to talk about things that without thinking how it's going to come full circle. Like I know when I talk to someone, I need to put that conversation so long term that if they come back a year later, they know that I wasn't BSing them at the moment. Like I was speaking the truth.
Well, you kind of hit the nail on the head on something. I think that people seem to forget the fact that social media lives forever, and you are a brand, right? And I don't even like the term personal brand anymore, right? It's kind of all synonymous, right? Whether you are who you are online, and you're either representing yourself as an entrepreneur, a business owner, as a candidate, as a hiring manager, whatever you are, and if you work for a company, you work for yourself. But that lives forever, right? That perception lives forever, and I think that's where so many people are failing right now. They're trying to put stuff out to gain the eyeballs and attention, and they're not going about it the right way. And another piece too is I think that people are speaking out of turn, they're speaking out of context, and they're speaking about things that they're just not qualified to talk about. But in the same breath, like I think it's also fair that you can have a point of view on something. It's about how do you represent your authority. In your opinion, what's really the best way to build credibility and authority?
It's a good question. And as someone who, I think every time we talk, it's interesting because we always come back to authenticity, right? I didn't feel like I could really talk about marketing stuff until I really published my book. Yet I was posting 2-3 times a day prior to the book being released. And it's a small mental shift that you can go through, but it's talking about the process rather than the endpoint. So I didn't pander to the likes because I said, I have 20 clients and they're all paying me, $1,000 each to help them. I said very straight up, I have one client, I messed up this week and this is what I messed up on. And this is how I'm getting better with it. So it's not trying to like paint a picture of you as this god. Like you're trying to just paint what actually happened. And people resonate with that. That's, I'm going to stay with that for a second. My number one viral post, I think that got 50,000 likes, was the fact where I made a video talking about I moved back home in order to save money to build my business. Yeah. And that's where I am right now. Like I moved home with my parents and it blew up because people crave that. They don't want to,
They don't do it, man. Right. You're not going to be a 22-year-old with your G5. And Sean Hervey, my good buddy, he says it right here. He says content comes down to trust, truth, relevance, unselfishness, simplicity, and timing.
Yep.
And that's what it really is too. And I get it. I get, like, especially on LinkedIn, there's a real and I think it's a bigger problem than LinkedIn. It comes down to the attention economy, right? It's about gaining attention and eyeballs and monetizing it. And I think some folks go about it the right way, and some people try to hack it. And I think the end, and I think you would agree here, when you hack it, your house of cards is going to fall at some point, right? You may have that initial boom, you may get these thousands of likes and eyeballs and everything, but what's the long-term sustainability of that?
And you gotta ask yourself, why are you monetizing it? Like really think about, like, do you really even want to monetize it? Like I did. It took me 1.5 years before I really talked about Boundless and what we do. Yeah, I had the company in the back end, right? The reason was I needed to make sure that I was comfortable with selling something and providing a product that was actually beneficial to people, right? Like, so ask yourself, like, why do you want the quick cash? Like, why do you want to monetize your audience, right? The next thing is, I had 2 leads come in this morning. I didn't go ask them, but they just came to me. No, again, I have to pre-vet them and everything.
That's called the long trail, right? That's called the long trail. Too many people go for that quick kill, and they're doing it the wrong way, and it rubs people. I mean, especially now when brands and people are being tone deaf. Now's the time to build those foundations and prove yourself. And I think people see that, right? So I want to go back to your journey. It's a story that I absolutely love. I mean, you were one of the first. I think you were guest number 8 on the podcast.
Yeah, it was early.
Back, in March of last year, and I think we both come a long way in our own journeys, building as marketers, right? Building as a brand, which has been incredible. So I'd love a little update on, let's kind of summarize the last year of your life in 90 seconds for me.
Last year. So basically, over the last year, I published my book in July, and I took a pause. Right? I had a theory that I could build a company that would educate Fortune 500 companies on why it's so important to keep employee branding as a marketing tool, right? As empowering your people to actually talk about their work, the culture, all this. I actually ended up not being able to pursue that. So that company, that phase failed, and now we've transitioned into this interesting spot of using content and content marketing, especially on LinkedIn and Instagram, to generate leads for business owners. Like, I think that's been the best. It's something that I've been doing, which is, creating content here, engaging, but actually being able to build a quote unquote like process around it rather than saying publish. That's why I love Gary Vee, because it gets people going. But the next phase after that is you got to have a plan, right? So
it's one thing to be motivated, but then you got to execute on it, right? You got to go out the dirt if I'm going to take a Gary Veeism.
It's good, and it's I'm not going to talk any bad, because he got me actually posting every single day, but over the last, especially 2-3 months, we built the process, right? Now that you need to publish every day, how do you actually do it? So that's what we've been doing for the last year.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. How's the book doing, man? And thank you for the shout out. I have a little shout out in the book. I'm looking at it behind me on my bookshelf with all my other books. And a little side note, which I think is pretty damn cool. I have a collection of books up there. Let's see if we can kind of turn it up there on the bookshelf on that top left above Steamboat Willie over there. Maybe I'll do a bookshelf tour later on.
Do it.
But I have books from guests on my show. I have you, Heather Monahan, Dave Meltzer. Gary Vee could be a potential guest coming up pretty soon on the show. There's a whole bunch of guests up there, and it's kind of like my thank you notes from you guys. So I love it, man.
Oh yeah, and let me be honest. Adam has been the one guy that's been supporting me across the board, whether it was with the book or the business, and that's why I preach online, offline conversations. Like, I've never met this guy yet. We've been talking. We talk every couple of times, man. Yeah, it's a real friendship, right? So big shout out to you.
Sean has a quick question. Nico, in regards to posting, how do you feel about audience fatigue? Do you think posting every single day could backfire?
Maybe not. So I'm going to preface this with, I'm biased. I post 5 times a day on LinkedIn, and then 3 times
a day?
Yep, 5 times a day on LinkedIn.
You don't think the algorithm doesn't suppress it? I heard more than twice a day you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. No, you haven't seen it?
I mean, tomato, right? So here's
I mean, that's real data. Have you looked at the numbers? If you're testing, are you seeing a suppression?
So here's the thing. I believe at the end of the day, 99.99999% of people will never see any of the posts that you have. What I'm trying to do is I'm playing the long tail, right? So I post 5 times a day on LinkedIn, 3 times a day on TikTok, random places. So just under 10 I post a day. Um, sure, do I get less likes than the average person? Maybe, but do I still get leads and clients? Yes. So what I care about is how many times and how many at bats can I get? Because I know that 80% of my posts will not hit the mark.
Yeah.
10% will, and 10% will be okay, almost there, but I need to improve. So it's just a game of numbers.
And let's pull back the curtain a little bit in your content creation story. A, do you use a content calendar? And B, how do you plan your posts? Like, do you just kind of write them off the cuff? Do you have kind of like an idea, like this is going to be like, I know for me, like I know I'm going out with a podcast promotion post. I know I'm going out
Yep.
with a live show, or I'm going to go something off the cuff, or I'm going to post something about my day job and post a, recruitment piece.
And I've seen it work both ways. I hate authority, so I tried the content calendar, but I just never could stick with it. So, and it's good because I'll talk about this. This is my formula. At 6 a.m., I log into my phone and go to Quora. I answer a question, I copy and paste that, and I post it on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Then I go and do my workout. I come back and I see what people are saying about it, and I'll make a video about it, or I'll do a live about it. And I'll watch what people say to that, and I'll just kind of do that. Basically, I'm taking the guesswork out of making content.
I
I
love
only
it.
guess
And you also
once.
tapped into the current pulse, right? Like you're
Yep.
relevant and
And
you're
I
listening to
focus
your audience versus always going with your own agenda.
exactly, and I focus on two things, right? Evergreen content and content that my audience actually cares about. So I do a ton. So all these Q&As, like Sean has been saying, I get these every single day in my DMs or my comments. Why don't I just thoughtfully answer that DM, thoughtfully answer that comment, copy it over and paste it, right? It's this.
You're not reinventing the wheel and you're not
That's
overthinking it.
it.
This is
That's
relevant.
it. I care about one thing, and it's, am I providing value to that one person? Not everyone. Not everyone needs me. Not everyone wants me. Not everyone can afford me. I'm trying to hit that one
Smart. No, I think it's a brilliant play too. I mean, my content is my content approach is a little bit different.
Yeah, as it should
Because
be.
I am promoting, I have a bank of content. I have a tremendous amount of content that I'm kind of planning out. I have a content calendar, so I'm promoting the podcast.
Mhm.
When I put out those little videos, and I have a full post when I put out each show. So I try to do that in the morning. Right, I try to do that around
Yeah.
9 o'clock in the morning. Make sure it's there, and then later in the day, I'm on two posts a day on LinkedIn, unless I feel this power inside of me that I need to bash engagement
Mhm.
pods or something, which I'm going to take a step back on.
I'm going to just jump in there really quickly
Go
because
for it.
I have a content repository too. Remember when I said, like, I know 10% of my content's going to work? I don't
Mhm.
let that content go to waste. I save all that. So I do three new, and then probably one or two of them are from my repository. So just to go with what you said, it's not planned out, but if I get a pulse on what someone wants, I just
Go with
pull
it.
from yeah.
And right, and
Yeah,
that's also pulling in your audience engagement too. Even if it's that one person that looked at that DM'd you, and then they see that you're making a post about it, and maybe you tag them, maybe you don't, maybe you pull it into the comments, but they see that you're hyper engaged with them. That's
mhm,
deepening the relationship with one person that could
that's it.
potentially be a paying client, right? That's a very interesting approach too, because that is super hyper laser focus versus shotgun spray and pray. And how's that working out for you? Have you gotten any clients that way?
Yeah, so before Corona, I average about 1 to 3 leads every single week. With Corona, it's definitely taken an interesting turn, and we're actually bringing out a new product in the Boundless Sphere, specifically for freelancers. So, because again, you have to listen to the audience. Like, I had a lot of business owners reach out to me, and then I switched to freelancers. And you got to like
Hmm.
think through, why is my content hitting freelancers, and is there something there?
Yeah.
So kind of foreshadowing what's happening there. But the truth is, what you just said is what I focus on. I'm trying to hit that one person,
I love
right?
it.
If I can get that one, because here's the thing: the amount of referrals I've gotten from people who've engaged with me is outlandish, right? If I hit
Outlandish.
outlandish, we're bringing out the tier 3 words like my English professor used to say, but it's just so crazy because if I can hit the mark and I can get John to think of Karen, right? If I can just, and that's why I forgot who said it, but the one metric I think I care about is conversation. But the second one, if it has to be tangible, is that symbol. Because if I see something and I at you, that means it spoke so much to me that I had to bring you. I felt compelled to bring you in.
Let me kind of pause on that for a minute too, because I smirk and smile when somebody tags somebody else in the body of my post, and I love it when they had contact.
Music.
Like I had one a week ago where there was a couple of people I tagged and said, "Hey, like at Nico, we were talking about this last week," or "Hey, like that's engagement. That's real too." And I want to go back to content creation for a little bit. Like,
Please.
what about call to actions in the body of the post? I mean, we're not talking about the pandering, agree, but
Mhm.
having real thought provoking questions in there.
You know, I so my it depends on what you're trying to achieve. So my thing is, and this is kind of like pulling back the curtains, why I give so many tips and tricks and methods is because I want you to implement it. I want you to see some benefit before you reach out to me, because it makes the sales conversation so much easier. But you
100%.
come to me and said, I did what you said. This is the result. I want more of that. Makes sense for you to come work with me.
Right.
So that's what I care about. So my call to actions are like, go try this. Like, what's holding you back? Like,
That's
here's
right.
here's the secret. Like yesterday, I posted on TikTok, and I'm going to post today. I'm like, here are the 3 pieces of equipment I use. This one cost me $0. This one cost me a little bit more, and this one cost me a lot. But I started with 0, and I kept going up.
Yeah.
Um,
The progression of the content, I'm looking at my whole set right here, right? Where going back to my first shows to where I am now, definitely up the game a little bit.
but that's the thing. It's like I apologize for I don't think this is like calling this person out, but I know people who wait for their mics to get started. They wait for those HD cameras or webcams or and I
Well,
used to be the same way, right?
I
I
mean,
just
I get it. They want their quality to be good because that's the first impression. But if you and I waited for that, I wouldn't be where I am today, and you wouldn't be where you are in your content journey, right? I
Adam,
was using I
you
was using
can't.
the camera on my computer, which was perfectly fine. I was using my Yeti mic, which did the job, and it's
Mhm.
about just getting it out there, testing it versus being perfect. I do agree with that point, right?
Here's the thing: you don't remember any of my posts from a month ago
No,
or a year ago. So like the quality versus quantity conversation is, as long as you have a somewhat decent phone, you're in the game. Like no one remembers any of my posts from a year ago.
but remembering your first videos, right? You and I have been talking about this for a while, when we were both filming them in our cars in the parking lot, right?
Yeah, but that's remember you didn't think about the quality. You thought about the message. Yes, it was
Correct.
in the car, but you were more so thinking, okay, I get this guy because I'm doing it in the car. But you don't think about my quality.
No, it's about the message too. And I've seen some absolutely brilliant production quality videos that are absolutely shallow and
Mhm.
and have zero message at all. And it makes you kind of laugh because
Sniff
it's
it
so
out.
funny, right? Like some people are such like production nerds and like they're so concerned about the quality of it. And no offense to that, because it's awesome. And I love when I could, hop in someone's studio, but you got to have a message and you got to have a platform. And I think going back to some marketing principles, an early marketing principle that I learned from a fantastic mentor that I had. She said to me, whether you're right or wrong, have a point of view and be able
Yep.
to back it up. Right?
Yep.
You could be wrong, right? It could be factually wrong, but if you could back it up and be stern to that, you're going to stand out and not be vanilla. Another question from Sean here. It's pretty interesting regarding content. He's asking Nico, how do you feel about the Grant Cardone, Gary Vee style of posting with self-quoting with pictures? I see a ton of it on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
I also see a lot of people that are screenshotting their tweets or Instagrams and using that as content and repeating it. And my next guest, Kylie, does it a lot. I want to ask
Mhm.
her about it too. What are your thoughts?
I've done it with the Instagram with Twitter, and I saw mediocre. I don't think I'm a quote worthy individual. Maybe there's like little nuggets that you can quote, but for me, what I would say to those type of people is I would do that, but with DMs. So I've done that with direct messages where I'll just crop the person's name out and picture,
Mm,
and I'll use that because that again, it's contextual. Again,
right.
I'm not a Gary Vee or a Grant Cardone. Um, that's my that's where I am right now. I'm in the process of wanting to get to a Gary Vee, but I'm not a Gary Vee. So I don't feel like quoting myself unless it's something that a ton of people were hearing and they're like, Nico, I love that you said it. Um, then quote away, but I don't, it's okay. I mean, I'd rather do a video anyway.
Right, you
So
got to, and as Sean is saying, right, you got to take a stance, right? Vanilla
yeah,
content is not
yeah.
is,
Oh
is
yeah.
not going to stand out. I mean, I had I had my own. I did the quoting thing early on because I felt like I had a couple of good quotes and it did well. And I also have a couple of quotes that I kind of live by. You know, plan your work and work your plan. That was handed down to me. And those are things I say for a reason. It's not about a self promotional quote, but it's something that I definitely want to motivate people with. How are you seeing your personal business affected right now during the time of COVID? Well, first of all, I mean, let's backtrack a little bit. I mean, Arizona and New York are very different situations right now.
Very
I
different.
mean, are people social distancing? Are things closed there? Because I heard a lot of things are opening back up in Zona, in Texas, and other parts of the country.
Yeah, it's opening up. So, like I said, March we got hit. I mean, I lost more than half of my clients, just like that, because they were in the services space, restaurants, cleaning, real estate. So it was definitely a hard hit. But again, that's where I needed the time to sit and think and plan. And that's where the freelance product came to mind, because a lot of freelancers now had the ability to and very, very talented freelancers now needed more clients. And there's some products that we developed internally that appeal to them. So it's been interesting. It's definitely it's like mid pivot. So definitely it's completely affected how we do marketing.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. I mean, you're a student of the game. Obviously, you crafted a book on it too. What brands are standing out in a good way to you that you're seeing in the market?
Ooh, that's a good one. You know, there's what brands are doing it really good. You know, I've seen a lot of like commercials, whether on TV or on like Twitter or Instagram, really saying, you know, we're like banks and car dealerships, and like they're saying we're here for you. But you know,
really, as a car dealership, really need it for me. When
exactly.
my GM truck, I need to get a new one right away. Just extend the lease, and I'll deal with it when I get back. I don't want to go into any auto dealer.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not there. The couple that I know, Zoom's definitely been crushing it with their service. Grammarly, ton of very thoughtful emails. But you know, I think it's too soon. I have my opinions on a couple, but we'll see, because it's not going to be the brands in COVID. It's going to be post COVID, because I think a lot of big brands are going to switch back to, you know, profits. Like we got
to sell, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with selling.
No,
I mean,
no,
we're
I
in
love
business
selling.
and we need it, but it's being mindful and not being completely tone deaf. Helen Leal has a question here, Nico.
Please.
When do you get to the point of changing it up? Your style, like regarding your content, the style, the video, etc. Try again? Question mark.
You know, so my thing is, you're probably going to do an even split between 60% of the stuff that you talk about is safe, like safe topics. About 40% is going to be experimental. And again, it's going to be interesting, because for me, there's a ton of series that I don't do anymore. I used to do this thing called Car Talks that didn't really appeal, but my hashtag marketing Mondays did, right? My lives are doing good, where some of my others don't. So my thing is always be experimenting, even if it's micro, right? So
testing ABT.
Yeah. So actually, I'll throw this in there because I think it's very powerful. I'm a huge fan of just putting up the camera and doing selfie style videos, right? That's it, one take. What I've been doing, and I've had to adapt to something like TikTok, is I'm doing 5 to 7 seconds in one position and then mixing it up. So again, we're doing the same thing, which is selfie style, except I'm doing 6 seconds here, 10 seconds here.
So you're changing the camera a little bit. Yep. But what about when it comes down to LinkedIn content? Are you switching it up between copy, images, video?
You know, I do about 2 text posts a day, 1 video, 1 image, and then I'll throw a random one in there, whatever I'm kind of feeling. Again, here's the thing about text, video, and audio. There's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Some people like to listen more than they like to watch or read, right? So again, what does your niche want, and how can you better service them into that? If they love video, you should be spending 60% of your time on video. They love text, 60%, right?
I heard that LinkedIn's coming out with a poll feature, which I'm interested in trying with my audience too, because I try out different things. I have video, I have text, I have images. I find time of day changes things. And it's interesting too that because I heard a couple different schools of thought where it's either, you know, only post once a day, don't post more than 20 times a month, the algorithm will get you. And then I hear like the Gary Vee-ism, where it's literally what you kind of said earlier, is the more you post, you're going to keep going up and down in someone's feed depending on when they log on.
Yeah.
right? It's not evergreen. It's not like a Facebook. It's gonna move.
Here's the thing. Corona mixed it up. There used to be times that was for sure I would get more engagement here and there and everywhere, right? I saw some people posting at like 11 o'clock at night and their posts are winning. Here's my thing to anyone worrying about the algorithm. You don't control it. The biggest thing you can do is look at where the attention is and how can you get the most of it. I know when I go to a different platform, 60 posts very high, but like 20% of people will come with me. And they'll build there again. So
I'm not messing with TikTok, man.
dude, you should. You should. It's
my 8-year-old's on it. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't have the creative juice to kind of put out the TikToks, and I'm focusing on so many other pieces of content with the podcast and everything. For me, it's time.
Yep.
And I just don't think my audience is going to be there for what I'm trying to do from a very I really thought about it from a marketing standpoint. Like, why do I or do not want to be there? And I made the conscious decision not to. I went on. I have my names. I have my handles and all that kind of stuff too. But for me, it's just I see the type of videos on there, and like, could I create it? Do I have the creative capacity? Yeah, but I just don't have the bandwidth right now. I'd rather do,
get that.
Where could I add the most value to my audience? And I think it's through LinkedIn Lives. I think it's through podcasting. I think it's through putting out good content. And it's not going to be by watching me trying to attempt a backflip on my couch or talk to my cat that I don't have, right? Like, and not saying that that's a content that works, but like, it's just not where I want to be. So I have Kylie coming on in a couple of minutes. So I want to ask you before she jumps on. Give us one professional silver lining and one personal silver lining.
Personal, you don't know nearly as much as you would like to know. I wish I could tell you that it gets easier. But the truth is you're never going to know everything. So better to get started today and start figuring it out along the way. Professional one is don't worry too much about what everyone else is doing. Figure out where you're most comfortable actually marketing and start there. So if it's on LinkedIn, just posting texts and quote, do it, and then just watch what people are saying and just try. That's it. Like, think about your business, right? No one wants to go work out at 5 a.m. in the morning. No. You do it because you want to feel better. Your business needs marketing, so why not just start with it and then figure it out along the way? So
I love it. So let's try something new. We're going to experiment here. I'm going to bring in Kylie. Where are you?
Do it. I've never met
Kylie. Ready? Here we go. Give me a thumbs up. You're ready to go. Let's bring her in over here. All right, here we go.
Look okay. I was like, I didn't know.
Kylie, nice to meet you.
Hi, how are you guys?
I'm
awesome.
Well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. And you're in Philly?
I'm actually in Florida right now. Thank God. I'm even though the beaches are closed, I'd rather be quarantined near the beach than in a city. So thanking my lucky stars that I'm down here right now.
I love it. We're going to try something here, and I'm going to try something new. So I want to try an icebreaker game that I've been playing with my guests a little bit before we start on.
Okay.
And you're going to laugh at this, Nico, because the name of it is called Pod Decks. And anybody that knows me well knows that like pod is the antithesis of everything that I believe in, especially on the LinkedIn platform. So it's kind of funny there. But essentially, it's a standard 52 deck of cards that for some reason is not opening for me right now. But we're going to take this deck of cards, and it's not a magic trick, but I am going to shuffle them.
Now I'm nervous. I'm like, I wasn't nervous to talk about LinkedIn. Now I'm nervous.
Oh, no. This is an icebreaker game, and we're going to liven it up here. So I'm going to take a few cards. I'm going to go ladies first here. So Kylie, I'm going to hold this up. The right side here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pick a number.
2.
Oh, this is great. The question is, what would be the worst movie sequel ever made?
Oh, well, they already made it a sequel, but I can't stand Pitch Perfect, so I'm gonna go for the third or fourth one. I don't know which one they're on, but that movie drives me nuts for some reason, so I'm picking that movie. Sorry to all my, all the people out there that love that.
Oh man, Nico, same question to you, my man.
Oh goodness, I thought you were gonna mix it up and give me a different one. So I was preparing. Now I can't stop thinking about Pitch Perfect. I love the Avengers, but I think like we're at a good spot right now. I think it's done. Like anything more, I think is just like too much. So
well, they got to milk it. All right, Nico, one more, and then we'll let you get out of here. Nico,
let's do number 1.
I don't like that question.
What? That's not fair.
Good. He knows me too well.
Dealer's choice here. Okay, here we go. What is something that people are obsessed with, but you just don't get the point of?
Ooh, okay. So
My answer is TikTok.
Oh, that's funny throwing it in there. So not too many people know, but I actually immigrated from South Africa, and the one thing I've never been able to get into is peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Just can't do it. For some reason, I just
wrong peanut butter. Maybe you're not. I don't know. I love peanut butter jelly. In fact, I think you just inspired my lunch. But
that's gotta be authentic, you know.
All right, Nico, I'm gonna let you go. We're gonna give Kylie her,
Bye, guys.
time
Kylie,
here.
Bye.
Nico, real quick, where can folks find you? Where can they connect with you?
LinkedIn is probably the best place, or boundlessmedia.com. If you have any questions about marketing, I'm here. Just shoot me over a message.
And Nico and Kylie, you guys should definitely connect and have a little sidebar.
For sure.
Bye, guys.
For
Have a good
sure.
day.
Sounds great.
Later.
Bye.
All right, Kylie Francis, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Hi, how are you? Thank you.
We did it. We made it, and you and I, we've been connected for a few minutes now, and I adore your content. I love your direct approach to everything that you do, and your messaging and your authenticity certainly comes clear. So why don't you just tell us quickly a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so thank you for your kind words about my content. My background, how I got started in social media is very much like I had no idea this was going to be my job, that I was going to be good at this, because I started, I guess, it was back in college when I was on my swim team training trip. One of my best friends, so I swam Division I in college. And if anyone out there was a collegiate athlete, you just don't have time to do extra things, right? So my best friend comes up to me and she's like, Kylie, you need to get on Pinterest. Pinterest is so much fun. The recipes, wedding ideas. Yeah. So I was like, are you serious? Because I grew up with two brothers who also swam. And I was like your typical tomboy. Like, they made me play flag football, all of those things. So I was the girl that took architectural CAD over the home cooking class. So she told me about recipes and stuff. And like, although I like cooking, it just like, that wasn't something that like lit me up inside where I was like, whoa, that's what I want to do.
I love cooking.
So, so anyways, I'm trying not to make this long because the story gets real. I can rant for hours. So anyways.
Brevity, my friend.
So she convinced me to go on Pinterest. I said yes. At the time, I was studying business and apparel merchandising. So think the buying side of fashion. Buying clothes for retail stores, et cetera, et cetera. So I was like, Pinterest would be a great place for me to post fashion because I loved fashion. I had an eye for art. I loved art ever since I was, in elementary school. So fast forward a bit, I started pinning outfits onto Pinterest. And at this time, this was 9 years ago. People weren't doing this. So this was before Instagram.
Yeah, it was early.
Before
People forget that Pinterest was before Instagram. Pinterest was the groundwork for Instagram.
Exactly. And this was before being an influencer. Like that wasn't something someone aspired to be, which is why I think, Adam, you probably noticed through my content is that I'm so against people like counting the numbers where it's like, oh my God, I got 20,000 connections now. Like I got 50 likes on my post. And it's like, while that is fine and dandy for your own personal data to see what you like, at the end of the day, that's not going to matter at all when it comes to growing your business if you don't have goals. So that's something I want to talk about.
You don't have an actual business, right?
Exactly. And it's just like, what is your goal? So I want to talk about that after my story because that's how it ties into everything. So yeah. So I'm a very competitive person. I obviously swam at a very elite level and I was always a part of like water polo. I was always involved in sports. And one thing, so growing on Pinterest was something that I was like, I didn't aspire to do it, just like came because I was pushing out content that people, one, didn't have, and two, they liked the content that I was pushing out.
Right.
And I could see that they liked it through the Vanity Metrics. So I wasn't on Pinterest being like, okay, today I got 100 repins. I was like, no, they liked that pin because it was that type of post. So I looked at the data for myself and then I adjusted accordingly. So as I was pinning onto Pinterest, I was in my dorm room bed and I was just kind of like, how do bloggers make money?
Yeah, how people actually making money off this shit?
How do people make money online? Like this was like 9 years ago, right? When it cost you like 20 grand to get a website built, like a simple website, you had to code it all yourself. And, I feel like making money online seems really untouchable until you make that first, for me, it was 50 cents. So anyways, I was like, how do bloggers make money? Google searched all these things, and what came up was affiliate marketing. There's thousands of ways to make money online. This was one that made sense for Pinterest, because how affiliate marketing works is that you get a commission based off of the price of the product. It's not just fashion. You know, SaaS companies use it all the time. A bunch of companies use affiliate marketing. I picked fashion because I was pinning fashion pins on the Pinterest. So I signed up with the affiliate marketing company. It's free. And one night at that time I was pinning about 100 pins a day because I was literally obsessed with Pinterest.
You were just pinning away.
Exactly. And Pinterest is very easy to upload. It's just like Twitter. I always relate it to Twitter, but Pinterest is a search engine. Twitter is not. So when I post the pin onto Pinterest, and then at this time I had about like 10, 15,000 followers.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Went to sleep, woke up, and I literally made 50 cents. And whoa. I was like jumping out of my dorm room bed, like
it's that first dollar. Did you
like I'm just like
tape it to the wall?
50 cents. Yeah. Because I was like, oh my God, I did this once. Imagine if I applied it to all of my pins and then continued to do it. And at that time I didn't even understand that it was a search engine. So I was applying zero search engine optimization onto my pins. So longest story short,
optimizing yet. Yeah.
Exactly. That's how I got started in the social media world. I was first a Pinterest influencer. Instagram came around when I retired from swimming, got really into CrossFit, focused that on my niche on Instagram. Then I had so many people asking me, how do you make money online? How do you do this? Like all the things social media. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start teaching people how to do this. And that's what I do now. And I've been doing this full time for the last 2 years. And recently started using LinkedIn full time. I would say like 6-9 months ago. I would say more like 9 months ago. And when I say full time, I mean posting daily and consistently and going like all in on the platform.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. And it's so interesting. I love having conversations with, and you're still a newbie. And I say newbie in the terms that like I've been on this platform since 2006, building it a little bit differently, coming a little bit different angle. I mean, I use it professionally from a recruitment standpoint because I'm a recruiter. So I'm using it to engage candidates, using it to engage clients. But what I love about the new folks coming on, and I love newbies, we'll still call them newbies. But folks like you that do it the right way with the right intentions, right? And I think that the problem is a lot of people are jumping from other platforms and trying to get rich quick. And when I mean by get rich quick, I mean they're trying to build attention and eyeballs quickly, and a lot of them in the wrong way. And they're trying to monetize things in an unethical or just not really a professional kind of way. But the problem is, I think culturally, and I love your take on this, society, like we're predispositioned to see likes, engagements, views, followers as a sign of credibility, authenticity. And I think that's something that needs to end. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. And I think that's the reason why it's like that Instagram culture. Because when Instagram first started and kind of the term influencer was born, people aspired to get more followers and likes because they wanted that Rolls Royce lifestyle. They wanted to be like the people, kind of like sitting on the beach, sipping a Corona, posting once a day, travel blogger, and getting paid millions to do that.
Yeah, thousands for one post, right?
Exactly. But I feel like that type of influencer is only one, okay. That type of influencer is non-existent in today's world because people relate more to authenticity and value now in 2020 than they did in 13, 14, when people didn't realize that lifestyle was fake. Because a lot of people were faking it and people were like, oh my God, I wish I could. Like the craziest thing I ever heard of was how fashion bloggers, they will go and they will buy an outfit from a store and they will return it after they do the shoot. And then just so they have a consistent feed. And I'm like, when I heard that, I was like, this whole world is fake.
Oh yeah. It's all optics, my friend. It's all
mind blowing to me. And even when I think about it, and then when more people, I think, well, especially in 2020, people catch on to that, you can sniff it from a mile away and you lose all credibility. Yeah.
And I think that people, and I talked about this with Nico earlier, it's either they don't care, like they only care about the present time. Like they just want to get rich or get attention now. They don't care
Mhm.
about it. And B, they don't understand the value of long-term relationships and how you can do it on social, even though social is
Mhm.
instant gratification. So let's switch gears to LinkedIn a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your own personal LinkedIn journey from, how you started, how you built an audience, your content strategy, and then we'll kind of talk current state of LinkedIn.
Yeah. So when I went full time in my online business, I actually started a Facebook group, which is top rated by Forbes and Gusto. And it's like one of the best social media marketing digital hubs on Facebook. And I was pushing out content daily and consistently and selling digital products to my Facebook group. But the problem is that on Instagram and Facebook, only 3% of your following is seeing your content.
Hmm.
So that's for everybody. And the reason for that is because the platforms are matured. So what do they want? They want you to pay to play, which means you have to pay for advertising, even in the Facebook groups that you could own.
Wow. Really? I didn't know that. I'm not big on Facebook groups.
Boosted posts. Exactly. It's kind of crazy. So anyways, when I was seeing that, I do a ton of live streams that I've repurposed onto my YouTube channel. And when I saw that my posts were getting less likes, I knew this because of other platforms that I had been on. It was nothing to do with my content. It had everything to do with the algorithm. So that's another thing too that I want people to listen to, is that if you're pushing out great, valuable content, it could very well be because the platform that you're relying on to get that result, or your expectations, are no longer how they used to be 5-7 years ago. So anyways, I was already creating this like Twitter, I heard you say it with Nico, this Twitter style picture type content where every day I'm a very consistent person. I get that from swimming, being a competitive swimmer. We train all year for one meet. Yeah. So that instilled in me, in order to get results, like you can't just do it for 2 weeks and expect to be Kim Kardashian online and then get all upset as to why you're not getting results and then you quit, right? So when I realized that LinkedIn, so I had started LinkedIn probably like years ago, like 6 years ago, but I had put it on the shelf because back then
it was a resume site, it was job site. It didn't have what it did now. Mm-hmm.
Right. And I was also not in the stage of my business journey to even be utilizing it in the way that I'm using it now. So I was hearing that like LinkedIn's like back in session. Let's put it that way.
Back, baby.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to commit to posting on LinkedIn. And so what my strategy was, I was already creating these posts. So I was putting them in my Facebook group and then I was pushing them over to LinkedIn. Now my LinkedIn following is greater than my Facebook group. And I'm seeing drastic, results when it comes to lead generation on LinkedIn over my Facebook group. And it's because my ideal client is a business owner, whereas my ideal client And the thing is when I started my online business, I thought my ideal clients would be entrepreneurs, but now I'm realizing that my ideal client is a business owner. So, and those are two very different things, especially when you come from, So LinkedIn has just obviously it's connected me to you, and it's connected me to so many amazing business owners, entrepreneurs, any type of person that's ambitious, but also supportive. And that's what I love about the culture on LinkedIn.
Yeah. And it really is a supportive culture too. So let's put on your social content creator hat for a little bit.
Okay.
And talk about the different types of content you put out and the strategies for each.
Yeah. So I discussed the 4 types of content, which are education, connection, inspiration, and selling content. So educational content is teaching content. You're teaching somebody how to do something. Okay. So that can be how to not suck at LinkedIn. Here's
That's what we're doing today.
Steps, right?
I'm literally creating that piece of content with this video clip right here. That'll go up later on.
And then connection content is me too type of content. It's how people can relate to you. And this is why storytelling is so important with your content. So for example, if you listen to me while I'm on this live stream, I've mentioned that I do CrossFit. I was a Division I swimmer. I started Pinterest in college. All of these little nuggets, someone out there that's listening is going to be able to relate to, whether they're watching live or they're watching the replay, watching the repurposed content on YouTube. Someone's going to hear that and I'm not doing that. I'm not slipping that in intentionally. That's my story. But it's important for me to tell my story because people buy off of emotion and they justify with logic. People connect with you. They connect with your story, not with the data, Albert Einstein data that you like type out or copy and paste off of. I think I said it before in Bill Nye's Scientific Newsletter.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to be able to share your story, and it doesn't have to be drastic highs, drastic
Relatable.
lows. It can just be something that happened throughout your day. It could be something. I think there's this something I read in one book where it was like everyone usually can relate to you until you reach 7 years old with your stories, because we all typically have the same, you know, go to kindergarten, we go to first grade, and like all the things that happen, like a first kiss or something like that. Or maybe it was, I forget the age, but you guys get my drift. So start sharing stories. That's Me Too content. Transformational content is inspirational content. Okay. So, or inspirational content is transformational content. And that is sharing your journey, sharing your story, sharing the mental, not just like, okay, I made $1,000 today and last week I made zero,
The
but
effort,
share
the
your
journey.
internal struggle as well, because that's how, like I said, people are going to connect with you. And there's this thing, I don't know who said it, but I read it from Russell Brunson, and it's the hero's two journeys. So you, like, every person goes through two journeys. It's the journey that everybody sees on the outside, and then the journey that everybody sees or doesn't see on
Right,
the inside.
the
So
internal journey. Mhm.
exactly. So start sharing those stories as well. And then you have sales content, which is selling, if you need to, your product or your service. So those are the 4 types of content that I try to disperse over my LinkedIn. And another thing about inspirational, it can be motivational content too. And I love motivational quotes. I love being a source of motivation. But one thing to take note of is don't only rely on motivation.
Yeah,
Because I see, yeah, go ahead.
I was about to say there's some people that's all they do. That's all they do is put other people's motivational content out there. And you know, if I use the Gary Veeism, it's okay to be a DJ, right? It's okay to be a content DJ, a content curator, but it's also important to be a producer and create your own stuff and have your own voice. I mean, unless you want to be known as just a quote guy. I mean, there's a couple of them on there on the platform now that are literally just quote people.
Exactly. And another thing too, not only are they quote people, but it's like you said, they use other people's quotes. So I talk about this a lot in my content, is that in order to make an impact on LinkedIn, you have to create your own original content. It doesn't have to be this like 80-minute video production video or whatever that costs you $10,000. You can literally, like, you know, if it does in the form of a tweet or a selfie, or it's something that you created and that you put out there as your own original thought. Because the problem is, and I know that you were talking about this earlier with Nico, because I was listening to you guys, when you're like, someone asked about Gary Vee and Grant Cardone content. And the problem with that is literally in the question. If you go out there and you try to be like ... you're becoming a subconscious representation of that brand.
Yep.
So when people look at your brand, that's what they think. That looks like Gary Vee's content.
Right.
He talks like Grant Cardone. That's how Kylie does her posts, right? Yeah. That's why it's so, go ahead.
Right, just it's hard though for people, because you know everyone says be yourself, and that's one of the ages, like one of the go-to quotes when someone says, "I give you good advice, be yourself." But the problem is people look for inspiration and they look at the people that are successful and they try to imitate that, right?
But then that's not being yourself.
Correct, and that's the conundrum.
So,
but they can look for inspiration or style.
My advice for being yourself is, like, I get that that's super cliche, is everyone deep down has that idea where it's like, oh, I wish I could do that. I want to do that now. I wish I could say it that way on LinkedIn. When I started actually being myself on LinkedIn, which is like witty and funny, that was when my like content exploded.
Yep.
Because it was one of those things inside of me. I was still delivering value every single day, but it didn't change until I started being myself. So it was the same thing. I was doing the same content, but it was the story that I was sharing was stuff I actually wanted to say. And then I got the comments coming in where they're like, that is so true. That's spot on. I'm so glad somebody said that. So everyone knows what that is inside of them. And it's like, facing that fear and just testing it. You're going to have to split test your ideas. And that's another thing that holds everybody else back. If they're like, oh, is this going to work? Like what time of the day should I post? When should I post? And it's like that. You're not going to know the answer until you try it. Like you have to split test it over at least a week for a new idea. Cause you can't just do it once. Yeah. You can't do it once and then like expect the result to be the only answer.
You have to keep testing. It's a really interesting thing too. And I'll give you a real world example. So I've been doing every one of my live shows during typical working hours. And I get decent audiences, right? I think it fluctuates on the guests, it fluctuates on the day, there's certain things there, but I've yet to do a weekend show and I've yet to do a nighttime show. And that's just because of my schedule. I got 2 kids, you know, once I kind of shut off for the day, that's my time with my wife when we like to like spend time together. But I said to her, I go, hey, I may want to do a weekday show, like a nighttime weekday show, just to see how it resonates. Maybe there's people on the West Coast where it's going to resonate with. Maybe it's going to be people in Australia where it's morning time for them. So definitely always be testing too. Question for you. You use a lot of emojis in your copy. Talk to me about that approach. Is it a branding approach? Is it something that you like? Because I love using emojis too, and I try to be kind of witty and smart with them sometimes. But like, give me your kind of thought process on using the emojis in the body of your copy post.
So a funny story about emojis is that's another thing that I was told not to do. That I thought it was like, okay, I'm on LinkedIn. I need to be super professional and I can't use emojis. So I love emojis. I think like they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And I think emojis, when used correctly, can say at least 500. Okay. Because if I'm talking about like one of my made up characters, like Connection Counter Carol, and I use like a girl emoji in the front, it gives some like, it brings her to life. Right.
It's so true. And I love that we kind of jive on that. It's fun to come up with names.
Right.
Because it's so
That's what I'm saying. Social media can be fun.
Like we have fun with it. Like I like our banter. Yeah, it's fun. And
yeah, I just think emojis also have personalities, right? So it just livens up a post, especially because the pictures that I post are tweets. So because I'm not like all in like, and I don't know if like all the people watching have even seen any of my posts, but I don't use the emojis where it's like, you know, you do 800 in a time. I just use them in front of every sentence. And it's not are emojis growing my business? I don't know, but it's fun for me. And that allows
that's all that matters.
And like more important than that is that when it's fun for me, it allows me to show up fully as myself. Because I never want to be put in that position where social media feels like a job, because it doesn't have to be.
Nope.
Right. Like, I feel like when people get too into the data where it's like, you know, how many hashtags are you using? How many posts a day are you using? And it's like, are you delivering value? Are you being a person of value? That's what's more important.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree with you too. So stop overthinking. So let's break down some of the characters on LinkedIn that I think are absolutely fantastic. Right. We have, you know, Vanity Metrics Val. Right.
Yeah.
and these are the types of people that all they care about is the numbers, the likes, they're driving it. Like they only want their content there. Right there. That's all that matters to them. But what are they missing there? What is Vanity Metrics Val missing?
Vanity Metric Valerie only cares about the Vanity Metrics. So her post will be like, I just crossed 20,000 connections. I just got thank you. When they do a post specifically just calling out the thank you for liking my post, that's when you know somebody doesn't have a goal on social media, when their goal is only about the number. And that's another thing too. If you're watching this and like you feel like you can kind of relate to these characters, it's not something you can't change. You absolutely can. It all stems from these people not having goals in place, which is what I help businesses do. So Vanity Metric Valerie is like, or like one of her posts went viral. So she's riding that wave and she never wants to post again until, you know, 6 months later.
what about Networking Ned, right? Like Networking Ned is interesting too, because Networking Ned is consistently putting out the like, comment, follow post all day long to build his network and open to connecting with everybody. 2 questions. What is your approach to connecting and growing your own audience? And why is Network Ned so interested in, you know, building this pyramid?
I don't really remember Network Ned. I must have only said that once.
I'm kind of going. I'm just going with it. I don't have them in front of me.
Yeah. So my whole thing with growing on LinkedIn is if I show up daily, this is like what I tell people to say to themselves. If I show up daily and consistently with value-based content, my ideal audience will be able to find me, because we have to remember this: just because we show up on social media, any channel, and we post once, that does not mean the people that needed to receive that message were even online, or if the algorithm even showed us their posts. So we can increase the probability of the people that need us seeing our content by incorporating hashtags and search and posting daily. So it's a combination of the both, but also commenting on other people's posts is how you truly grow your network on LinkedIn. Because, and I'm not talking about, you know, leaving the hundreds or
real
leaving emojis, real authentic, valuable comments. And the reason why you want to do that is because when you start commenting on other people's posts by supporting that person, but also leaving your expertise on the subject, other people in that network are seeing that post. Okay. So how that works is if you're strategic. So this is also strategic too, because if you're only commenting hundreds on, you know, someone's post that's a lion or something, which is the LinkedIn Open Network people, you're probably not going to see the right result, because the eyeballs you're trying to get in front of aren't your ideal clients.
No, that's a huge point. That's a huge point right there. And I kind of had that epiphany, even though I've known this my whole life as a seasoned marketer. Like, there's different audiences on LinkedIn. There's audiences that are going to be your customers. There's audiences that are going to be your fans. There's audiences that are going to be entertained. So think about, you know, who's responding, who's engaging, and what ultimately, as you said before, what are your objectives? Who do you want to be?
Exactly.
And it's fine.
Always start with the goal. If you ever feel lost, that's where you need to start.
And it's okay, right? If your goal is just to provide entertainment on the platform, that's fine. But at least to your point, you know your goal, and you're not trying to do something that you're not like being truly authentic to.
Exactly.
Yeah. And why do you think I find a lot of people struggle for authenticity on the platform? And I can look at it like in the deep psychological sense that people just don't really want to be themselves, or maybe they're hiding something, or maybe to your point earlier, maybe they're trying to be something that they're not. But how do you show up every day and be some version of your authentic self? Because I'm not saying that everybody has to go 100% in. And I'll tell you straight up, like, what you see here is what you get online. But this took me years. This took me years of comfort and testing and trying things. So what's your advice for people to, you know, be themselves and be present on LinkedIn?
So the second thing you said was part of it, which is you have to try. Like you can't sit here wondering, worrying, okay, you know, is this good enough? Is this going to get likes? Is this going to get comments? Don't worry about that. Let your audience tell you if they like it after you post. So another thing too that answers that question is a lot of people try to be like somebody else when they themselves do not have a goal, right? So it always stems from the goal. Every time someone comes at me with a fear or limiting belief, I'm like, well, what are your goals? And they don't know, which is fine. But that's something that's very important, because if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to know. If you don't know the end goal, you're not going to know how to get there. Nope, and I'm not saying you need to know every step of the way, but at least you have some direction. So if you feel like you have to like be like somebody else, or, you know, oh, I see her content, it's successful, so I'm just going to copy it. No, it's successful because that person was themselves, right? Adam's content is successful because he was himself. So it's all about, I guess, to find your own authenticity, you have to test what feels comfortable for you. And I think a lot of people try to be other people because they think they need to be like them. So they start doing things they don't even like.
Yeah,
they don't even like it. And then they quit after a month because they're like, I can't put up with this because it's so stressful. And it's like, yeah, because that is not you. So always start with a goal. If you're ever like wondering where to start with on social media, be like, is my goal to get more leads? Is my goal to grow brand recognition? Is my goal to grow my email list? Is my goal to get more clicks to my website? Those are some goals that are pretty, like, they're simple, but they're common. And when you know where you're going, you'll know where to start.
That is some fantastic advice. And I wish we could hang around and keep ragging on all the bad stuff on LinkedIn, but I really want to be positive today. And I'm not going to get into the stuff that I don't like. I'm really taking an approach this week to being positive. It's interesting too, just a quick observation. A lot of my rant posts that I've done over the last couple of months where I'm ranting on certain things on engagement pods and other things that I hate, different types of humble bragging, different types of tone deaf selling, all these things that I see across the platform, they get tremendous engagement. And the reason why is because relatable. I'm saying something that everyone's thinking, but they didn't want to say. And that looks great from an engagement perspective and conversations. But at the same time, I need to think about, what's that doing for my business? What's that doing for my own personal brand? Right. So there's a lot of things to kind of consider there. So this week I'm going all positive, all good stuff here. So Kylie, I want to wrap it up here. And I certainly appreciate you taking the time to join me this afternoon. I'd love to hear from your perspective, one personal silver lining and one professional silver lining that you've been experiencing over the last couple months.
Personal silver lining is that I deleted a lot of, I don't watch the news. I don't have Netflix. I deleted everything that was sucking and draining the energy out of me.
Netflix? Oof.
Nope. And I replaced it with something that would grow my business. And my business has, I don't know the exact number of X it's multiplied in the past 2 weeks, but it's been a lot because of that. And it's because I think the news especially can be so soul-sucking and so draining because we're hearing the same thing over and over again. And it just comes to a point where it's okay, if I wash my hands, if I work out and I eat healthy, I'm putting the odds in my favor. So it's okay, that mission, check. Now, what can I replace? Because that's what was taking up my time. How can I, take a course? How can I watch a YouTube training?
You better yourself.
Yeah. How can I start, creating goals so I can start posting more consistently on LinkedIn? What are my ideas? Write them all down on a piece of paper. I love doing that. Ideas aren't meant to stay in your head. We need to write them down. And the second you do, they come to life. So that's how you take the steps into getting everything you want.
I love it. Awesome. Kylie, let's certainly continue this conversation. Maybe I'll have you back on in a couple of weeks and we could get real tactical. We could come up with a game plan and kind of do a workshop here and maybe bring somebody else on who might be struggling in their social media and we could do kind of a live coaching and help.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. And that's what's fun about the live platform too. I did that with a couple of weeks ago with resume coaching and career coaching where I had a couple of pros on and we sat there and we brought people on and we talked them through. That's definitely, it's how do you add value, right? It all comes down to adding value because you could add value when you entertain, right? If you're entertaining somebody, you could add value educationally, skill sets, all that kind of stuff.
And I think a lot of people underestimate that. A lot of people see value as point blank where it's oh my God, I need to give them the 80-page PDF every single time I show up. And it's no, I always tell people my tip is all you have to do is answer one question. That's it. If you're questioning if your content is of value, see if you're answering one question. How do I edit my pictures on Instagram? Answer that. Yeah. How do I use hashtags on LinkedIn? Answer that. How many hashtags should I use on LinkedIn? Answer those questions. And then at least, it's funny because we also, at least I do, because I'm a super overachiever. I always underestimate the amount of value that I give. And that can be hard for the type A people where it's oh my gosh, I feel like everything I post isn't good enough because they're starting to put the validation in the vanity metrics, which is why I'm so against that. Because just because it's of value, when you start for the first 4-6 weeks, I wouldn't expect to get engagement. Okay. You get engagement when you're engaging first. So if you find that you're lacking engagement on social media, go out there and start supporting other people because then you're going to make your name known. If they don't see your post, at least they're reading your comment and they're going to find value in that.
I love it. Kylie, well, let's wrap it up here. I'm going to have you back on. Hang with me for a minute. Where could folks find you? Where could they connect you? Where could they learn more?
Yeah, I would just say you can go follow me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn.com/n/Kylie Francis. And if you want to go to my website and get a free strategy session, you can go there. It's KylieFrancis.com.
Awesome. Kylie, thank you for joining me. We'll be back tomorrow. I forgot what time. I'm not even looking at my calendar. It's promoted somewhere. I got Sarah Johnson and Tomas. I'm going to butcher his last name, but this guy is awesome. TEDx speaker, incredible life story. He's also the tallest human being, non-professional athlete that I've ever met. The guy stands at 7 feet tall. I mean,
wow.
You ever stand next to someone that it just makes you feel so short, but he has this way of not making, because he knows it, right? It's his whole life, right? He's just an awesome dude. Some real incredible conversations coming up this week. Everyone enjoy the rest of your day and we'll catch you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. We are